What's going on, guys? Ted from Immersion here, and I am a little bit late on getting this Unearthed Arcana review out, but I just didn't have time over the past couple days. But I wanted to make sure I devoted enough time to it to really kind of go through everything with you guys. So, this past Monday, the 20th, Wizards of the Coast released Wizard Revisited. They recently had done, they kind of revisited, I feel like the Warlock was almost like a Warlock Revisited, and they went over traps again and mass combat again, and we know they'd revised the Ranger. So I don't know if we're going to be seeing this continued, you know, the next Barbarian Revisited, or things that had gotten a bunch of updates in the past revisited. But it was short Unearthed Arcana installment, 2 Arcane Traditions. Theurgy Tradition has appeared in Unearthed Arcana before, but this time we'd like to gather playtest feedback on it. War Magic is an option we're exploring after reading your feedback on Lore Mastery and seeing interest in a War Mage option. So again, highly recommended that you click down here, the survey. This one here is for the Mystic, which was the one that came out last week. But click these things, I guess, and the Mystic was revisited as well. Click these and fill out the survey, because they do listen to us. They do take the feedback into account and try to adjust it accordingly. So I don't know why they wouldn't want to have gotten playtest feedback when they did the Theurgy Wizard before. My only thoughts are because it's now recognized that it's coming out on a weekly basis, pretty much, and more folks are kind of attuned to this knowledge that they're going to have stuff to playtest. They're just kind of bringing it back. And again, every time they do something as an additional iteration, makes me think that that increases the chances of it getting into a published source, meaning that it is official. You know, it's harder for a DM to say, you know, like, oh, that's an official product versus, oh, it's just Unearthed Arcana or it's homebrew. And then it'll also eventually be Adventure League legal as well. So, I just wanted to say I went in, and here is the Theurgy. I went and looked at the previous one, which was the Non-Divine Faithful, where the same tradition was here, and I read through everything, and it's basically exactly the same, just in case you were curious. They tightened up some of the typos, and they kind of shortened up some of the descriptions. Like you can see, Divine Inspiration is 2 sentences here. Here it's got more in a list. Not necessarily, you don't really need that, but the crux of the class is, and I mean from this channel, from Divine Arcana onward, it's verbatim the exact same. So I'll just kind of go through this quickly. But War Magic is the real focus here, because that's the new one. So Theurgy wizards are basically healing wizards. We've got Favored Souls are healing sorcerers. Undying Light is sort of a healing warlock. This is a healing wizard. So at second level, you get a bunch of stuff, actually. You choose a domain from your deity's list of eligible domains. They say the knowledge and light domains are especially appropriate. However, if your wizard worships a specific deity, you can choose that existing domain. And then basically, at second level, and whenever you gain a wizard level, as a wizard you get 2 spells per level. You can choose to replace one of the spells you're adding to your spellbook with one of your domain spells for whatever cleric domain you choose. Must be, you know, it must fit all the normal statutes, like it has to be of a level you can cast and things like that. If you add all of your domain spells to your spellbook, you can subsequently add any spell from the cleric list instead. Again, still must be of a level that you can cast, and they're all considered wizard spells, so they use intelligence, but other wizards can't copy them into their spellbook. And then you also get the Channel Arcana ability, which is, you basically get Channel Divinity, but it's called Channel Arcana because you're not a divine class. And you get it exactly the same pretty much in every functionality, except you don't get turn undead like a cleric does. You get an additional use at 6 and additional use at 18 for 3 total uses. You can you get these back on a short or long rest. And at the second level, you get, I think it's you start with 2 effects. Divine Arcana, which we'll talk about in a second, and the Channel Divinity option that your class grants you at level 2. So whatever the domain grants at level 2. So whatever, if you choose Light Cleric or Arcana Cleric or Knowledge Cleric, whatever the Channel Divinity option they get at level 2, under the cleric list, you get that. And then you also could use either that or Divine Arcana. Divine Arcana is, as a bonus action, you can increase the spell attack roll or the save DC of one of your spells by 2. So it's a bonus action, recharges on a short rest, and eventually you could do that 3 times before you need to rest. Arcane Acolyte is the 6th level ability. You get your chosen domain's level 1 ability. However, you don't get weapon or armor proficiencies, as like Tempest Domain, for instance, gets heavy armor proficiency and all martial weapons. You would just get its level 1 ability. At level 10, you get your chosen domain's level 6 benefits. And then at level 14, you get your chosen domain's level 17 benefits. Level 14, rather. So you get the highest thing that a cleric can obtain from their domain at level 17, you actually are able to get at level 14. So that's Theurgy. Pretty cool. It's a good way to get some healing on a wizard if you choose a life domain. You're going to have a ton of spells as a wizard, so it's like I said, if you choose life, it's a good way to get access to healing. Although if you choose one that does more damaging or is a little bit different, you can eventually, once you get all of the domain spells, you could choose to just take cleric spells instead. This is actually, Theurgy is also a feasible way to try to go for the trickery domain. I don't think it's particularly useful for a cleric, but when you can make illusory duplicates of yourself and choose that to be your casting point as a wizard, that's pretty powerful. Alright, so War Magic. First thing that comes to mind for me is the War Wizards of Cormyr, but take that as you will. So your level 2 ability is Arcane Deflection. This is, again, the thought being you are a war magic wizard. You're somebody that's going to be in the thick of things, potentially taking a couple hits, things that wizards typically can't do. So, when you are hit by an attack or fail a Constitution saving throw, note it doesn't say Constitution saving throw for concentration, just any Constitution saving throw. So this could theoretically be against poison or cold or heat or something like that. You can use your reaction to get a +2 bonus to your AC or a +4 bonus to the saving throw, meaning that those can potentially turn that hit into a miss or that failed save into a pass. When you use this feature, you can't cast spells other than cantrips until the end of your next turn. So you could potentially use this every turn, but you'd be stuck using only cantrips. Also at level 2, you add your intelligence modifier to your initiative rolls. So it's Dex plus intelligence for initiative. Makes sense. At 6, you get Power Surge. When you force multiple creatures to make saving throws against the damage of one of your spells. Again, multiple creatures and damage, not like a suggestion or something like that. Multiple creatures, damage, you can increase the spell's damage roll by rolling 2 more of its damage dice. So this is at level 6. You probably have already just picked up Fireball. Fireball does 8d6. You can choose to now increase it without increasing the level of the spell and using a higher level slot to just add an additional 2d6. So when you force multiple creatures to, so you could do it 10d6 Fireball, and that is, this only occurs on the turn you cast a spell, meaning if it's a spell that has persistent damage, it only lasts the first turn, and that's once per short or long rest. At 10, while you're maintaining concentration on a spell, you have a +2 bonus to AC and all of your saving throws. Pretty solid, especially at level 10 when you're getting into higher level wizard spells. You're going to have some stuff like, I don't know, maybe haste. If you have haste up, you already have a +2 AC from your haste. You've now just added 2 more to that and a +2 to all your saving throws. Again, not saying that that's the spell you're going to go with, or maybe you're casting haste on an ally to give, your fighter haste, or your paladin haste. Then it still gives you the benefit. And then at 14, you get Deflecting Shroud. So whenever you use your Arcane Deflection, the ability you get at level 2, magical energy arcs are from around you. Creatures of your choice within 10 feet take force damage equal to half your wizard level. So potentially something you could use every turn. You could also be doing a little bit of damage to creatures within 10 feet. It's force, so it's highly, it's one of the least resisted types of damage out there. And it's half your wizard level, and you get it at 14, so it's a minimum of 7 damage. There's no save, and there's no attack roll. It's just flat damage. You know, eventually increasing to 10 damage at level 20. But yeah, it's still not a bad ability because, again, it gives you have things that use your bonus action, or I'm sorry, things that will use your reaction, which is nice. And again, a +2 to your AC might be enough. And that saves you from having to cast a spell and use shield, but it does limit your abilities going forward. I like War Magic. I think that I'd have fun playing it. I've played a Blade Singer before, and I feel like it's fairly similar. Like, a Blade Singer gets a lot of defensive boosts. I know a Blade Singer is designed to be someone that wades into melee battle, hence the 2 attacks and things like that, and the intelligence modifier to your damage. Again, that makes sense. I feel like this is just a different version of it. Also, it's not technically limited to being an elf. So, let me know what you guys think about these 2 new wizards. Again, Theurgy isn't really new; it's just been reposted. Again, I like Theurgy. I like classes that can kind of cross class. That's why I super like the Hexblade Warlock, because it's like a melee warlock. And Paladin is my favorite class, and that is a lot of heavy-hitting melee single target damage, but also healing. So having a wizard that has access to the ability, potential ability to heal, or get access to spells that you normally wouldn't have access to, like, I don't know, Destructive Wave comes to mind, through Tempest Domain Cleric. You have access to some pretty powerful abilities, and again, you still get the domain features as well. Plus, you can get spells back on a short rest. You have a ton of cantrips, a ton of spells, and again, your higher level wizard abilities where you have spells that you can just cast for free that you always know that don't use spell slots. I don't know. It's pretty good. And War Magic, I think I can't tell if it's underpowered or not. It has a lot of good abilities, and some that are, like whenever you're concentrating on a spell, just getting flat bonuses seems pretty solid. And again, anything that lets you do damage without having to roll or cause a saving throw is always a nice ability, especially if it is just in addition to using the primary function of an ability. I like it. I'm not sure. You know what? I'd probably give it a try. I think I could make a character around this concept that I would probably enjoy. So, yeah, I think I'd give it a shot. Let me know what you guys think. Do either of these tickle your fancy? Do they make you want to play a wizard when you haven't played a wizard before? I realize that wizards kind of do seem potentially intimidating to newer players or even veteran players. It's a lot of magic to deal with. 2 spells every level and 6 at level 1. It's a lot of things to maintain. You got to worry about your rituals and your spell book. You're finding scrolls and trying to copy things in. I have all these spells. Which ones am I going to use? 44 spells at level 20. It's a lot of stuff to maintain. So, but does this change your mind? Does this make them seem more your style? I'm curious. So, let me know in the comments below. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this, and I'll be back next Monday, ideally, if they don't delay, with the next Unearthed Arcana review. See you next time.